Alright guys, what is going on? Oink here, and today is Thursday. We got some brand new seasonal events. So of course, we got the 650 performance points NASCAR challenge. Now they're actually doing something a little bit different to normal with these, in that there's actually only 4 races. I don't really know why. And well, let's start off with the entry requirements. First of all, you can be any of the 2011 or 2010 NASCARs with a maximum of racing hard and 650 performance points. We've got London Street Circuit, we've got Autumn Ring, Fuji Speedway, and lastly we've got Monza. For some reason we don't have any of the actual speedway tracks which are in the game. I really don't understand the track choices here, but whatever. All of them are basically the exact same car, so I just picked this one because it's got M&Ms on it, so you know, what's not to love. I just changed the suspension a little bit in that I dropped the ride height down to 10. That's basically all I did. On the suspension, the slip diff I actually changed quite significantly. I got 5, 15 and 10. It just really helped on the exits in the high revs. Gear 1 there was quite a lot of wheel spin and stuff, and it just helped a little bit with that. And then the max speed I've brought down to about 193, but you could probably go a bit higher than that because some of the tracks have got some long straights. The main other adjustment that I've made is the aero. I've maxed out on the downforce. It starts off very low, obviously, because these are set up for high speed as opposed to high cornering, so I've maxed out the aero. The prize for this event, by the way, is a level 21 class random ticket. Anyway, let's get straight in. London, I believe this is probably the hardest of the 4 tracks. All of them are relatively achievable. In terms of settings, or driving aids I should say, skid recovery is forced on once again. Another thing people will probably get frustrated about. I've gone with ABS 1 and everything else that is available turned off. And that seemed to do the trick for me. With this, it's lots of slow speed corners actually. Now, in gear 1 you're going to get a lot of revs, and you know, it's easy to spin out actually, so you just got to be really gentle with the throttle coming out of slow corners in gear 1, or just short shift into gear 2 at like 50 miles an hour and you should be fine. Otherwise, just easy accelerator on to about 65 and then shift up to second, and then you get some nice smooth runs. Basically just keep it smooth through there, try and avoid contact with the walls because that will slow you down a lot. And you can see I overtook first with about a lap to go. But yeah, as long as you keep it clean, basically you'll keep loads of speed and it should be relatively easy. Autumn Ring is probably actually the second hardest of the lot, but again didn't really pose too much threat. There's lots of nice lines you can take. These cars have surprisingly good handling, especially if you max out the downforce for cars that aren't designed to go around lots of corners or be driven at slow speeds. So yeah, surprisingly enjoyable to drive these cars. I generally don't drive NASCARs at all, you know, especially not on street courses or racetracks, that sort of thing. I mean, obviously most people just drive them on the speedways, but they're actually quite enjoyable to drive, and they're not too bad in terms of handling. You can see I take first at the end of lap 5, so sort of 2 laps to spare there. I mean, really not too much of a problem with these. So next we've got Fuji Speedway. Now, again, with this one, I mean, even if you do happen to go off, there's so much runoff on this track. You know, concrete runoff, that even if you did end up, you know, going horribly wrong, you can always just use the runoff areas to regain your control. One thing to watch out for is that the AI are notoriously extremely slow going into the corners. They start braking quite early, and also very slow accelerating out of the corners. So if you happen to be right behind someone just after a corner, you're just going to have to watch out, because you probably will end up going straight into the back of them because they just don't move going out the corners, which is quite frustrating. I take first here. Look at this, I give him loads of room and he just goes straight into the side of me. I'm not quite sure what he was doing there. Anyway, I take first on lap 3, so we've got like 4 laps of just plain sailing in first place, and we can move on to the final track, which is Monza, which is just about as easy. As I often say, the longer tracks in seasonal events tend to be the easier ones, and actually I didn't bother adjusting my transmission, but for both this and on Fuji you will find that you'll actually be maxing out on your rev limiter at the end of gear 4 and probably not have as much speed as you could. So if you really wanted to, you could up your transmission for these tracks, or just for all of them in general, or just go with a higher transmission. That would probably work just as well. There's no penalties. If you wanted to, you could just skip the green sections there, and also on the other part, I forget the name of it, but the part with all the sand and shit, I don't know, whatever, you guys know what I'm talking about, I'm sure. If you really want to find some extra speed, or just not, you know, bother driving it properly, then, you know, go for that. But there it is, another pretty easy one. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video anyway, and I'll be catching you guys soon. Peace.